Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. I appreciate you being here. Now, today my project is for Embossing Folder Friday for the month of July, and our theme is stars. So it happens that July is also Christmas in July, so I am going to be doing a Christmas themed card today. I'm going to be using this star embossing folder, which I believe is from Darius. And what I did is I went ahead and grabbed some of my fancy scraps. So I have a scrap bin for regular scraps, and then I have a small little envelope in there for fancy scraps. So this is things like handmade paper, I have some gold vellum, this is some mirror card, and of course this wasn't from a scrap, this is a full page of, silver glitter card. And then I have some other colors of the mirror card, including silver, which of course I love silver. So I am going to cut some of these down, and we will see what kind of fantastic results we can get with our star embossing folder in our fancy paper. So this is already at 4 inches, so I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4. And so this is a standard A2 mat, for me anyway. And I'll cut a few more down from these other pieces. Let's see. 4, 5 1/4. Whoa! Now, I've never done this with handmade paper before. I'm not sure what makes it handmade paper, aside of it being wrinkly and pretty fibrous. But let's give this one a try as well. Let's see. All right. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and since it's so lightweight, I don't want to wrinkle it. Sometimes you push your blade against the top or bottom and it just kind of buckles. So I'm just going to sink it in the middle, go up, go down, and make that slice at 4 inches, and then one more. And 5 1/4, doing the same thing. This one's stuck on a little bit. Okay, so I ran these all through the embossing machine with the embossing folder. And let's take a look here. This one is embossed kind of upside down, so it is debossed. You see the raised image is on the back side, but and a debossed image is on the front side. So these little stars are all inset instead of popping out. So it's pretty interesting. It wasn't what I meant to do, but I still like the look of it. Our pattern, or our handmade paper, is kind of hard to see on the screen. I can get, there's a little bit of it, but it looks pretty cool. It still shows that the fibrousness of the handmade paper, but even within the parts that are embossed and debossed. So it just flattens some things out just a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I was worried that it was all going to be super flat, aside of the stars. So I like the way this one turned out. It's a little different. I did another one in green and red of the foil cardstock, and you can see these ones are actually embossed the way I meant them to be. So these stars are sticking out. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is red. And there's that, and then the green. And then I went ahead and ran that vellum through, and this is really beautiful. You can see that this is a little too wide, so I'm going to have to cut this down. You can see the end of the stars here. So all of these ones I cut by like 3/8 of an inch on one side just to get it so that the embossed image would go all the way across. So I'll cut this one down. And then I did 2 out of the glitter cardstock, and they are really hard to see, but when you get the light just a certain way, they look really cool. So you can see on the back, that side's debossed. And then it just takes like a second to find, you can see some of it there. There we go. Just needed a little more shadow, I think. But in person, it is pretty stunning. So I'm gonna So for some sentiments, today I'm going to be using this Woodware collection, and it is called Christmas Cheer. I don't know if this is still available, but I love the fonts that are used here, so I'm going to use these, and I'm going to stamp them on some vellum, and this is just some Recollections vellum, 29 pound, and it is clear mostly. Today I will be using VersaFine Onyx Black, and this is really good for light line images, fine details. So I'm going to use that, and we'll see how that works out. So in an attempt to keep my grubby fingers off of the vellum, I'm using a block that is kind of wide for this, for these stamps, but I really wanted to be able to not, if my fingers get inky, really not get ink everywhere. I am using a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of vellum right now. Just going to do my best to align the sentiments or make them straight. You could definitely use a grid, like a grid mat if you have that, to kind of try to keep it straight. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black. Let's see how this goes. Gonna try to eyeball the middle. And I'm just gonna sit it there, put light pressure. I think it looks great. stand up for this one. Sorry, there's obviously a pretty big shadow. Looks like I'm wasting a lot, but I want to be able to straighten out the cuts when this is done, in case the image is a little crooked. So. I am going to attempt to remember that our sentiments are mostly dry, and I'm going to cut them down. Now this is a good time to move your blade out of the way, stick the paper in the cutting board, and see if they're straight. So you can kind of see how I've got a shadow, but also the greeting is right across that line, and it looks straight. It's already pulled up against the side of the board. So that one looks good. I think I'll go ahead and cut a little off the top. And then put this up so that the greeting is about 1/4 of an inch above as well. So now I have my strip, and it is centered in the middle. From the top of the S, I have about 1/4 of an inch, and from the bottom of greetings, I have about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to set this one aside. Cut the rest. Okay, so for each of these sentiments, I'm going to line up the middle, and just eyeball, line up the middle of the sentiment with that 6-inch mark. The first thing that I'm going to do is come over to the 4.5 mark and score. Take your time when you're scoring vellum. You don't want to break through it. And then I need to go 4 inches from 4.5, so that's 8.5. And really, this process has nothing to do with the 6-inch mark being in the middle. It's just kind of how I like to line things up and kind of adjust in my head how I want the score marks to be. So you can do this however you want. You could just sit it in there and do it at 2 and 6, and it is where it is. But we do need a 4-inch section here. I'm gonna have to score that again. Let's see here. There we go. I'm going to use my Teflon folder to burnish. And then also here to burnish. Now we're going to go ahead and take our sentiment and glue it around one of our embossed pieces. And you can see that it is a little wider than the embossed sheet, but I'm not worried about that. It's going to be a design feature today. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple dots of glue on the back here where these overlap for right now, because I might want to adjust the placement north to south in the next step. So I'm just going to set this one aside for now. And I'll go ahead and do a couple more while I'm at it. Okay, today we're going to be using some black A2 card bases. So these, when folded in half, are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. First thing I'm going to do here is cut some mats for the inside. Okay, and the card bases are ready. Just about ready to glue this down. But there's one more important piece that I'm going to do here. I'm going to go back to my fancy pieces. And I'm going to cut some stars. So I'm not going to use the same color, but I think I'll do a red and a green. And this is just an EK Success punch. And I'm probably gonna do 3. I think I'll do 1 red one, green one, maybe a silver one. And I can use a silver card. Maybe I'll do that. Use this rather than the glitter cardstock. Now remember, I kept this loose so that it could kind of decide at the last minute where I wanted to put this sentiment strip. So this next one, I'm going to do about the same. Let's see. I'm going to use a piece of black. I'm going to go ahead and stack these two up. So that guy will go here. I didn't find gold, but I found copper. Here is the card with the gold vellum, and it has a green and red star along with a silver one out of the foil cardstock. This next one is the handmade paper. It's a little hard to see the embossing, but I just used a piece of black matte cardstock that matches the card base, along with a green foil and a silver glitter paper. Anytime you have something like this, if you want to go a little bit beyond the standard card base, what I do is I just put it in a 5x7 envelope when I send it. Now we have red with 2 green stars. It's a little different than the other ones. I just used the 2 stars separate, and I like the way this turned out. And then this last one is super blingy. It is the silver embossed glitter cardstock. I just again used a black matte paper and then copper paper, which is a little hard to see. And underneath the vellum, you can really see the embossing. Kind of takes a second to really get a good look, to get the right angle to be able to see all of those stars. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I have new videos and when I go live. My normal day for live videos is Monday, and that is at 6 p.m. Mountain, and I'll have information all about that on the community tab. Don't forget, safety first.